Hey everybody, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Narcos Season 2, which arrives on Netflix on Friday, September 2nd. I have watched all 10 episodes. I'm not going to spoil things for you though. I'm not going to go into deep story details here, so you don't have to worry. You can read my written review on IGN.com if you'd like. Overall, I felt that Season 2 was, I guess, on par with Season 1, maybe a little less in the scoring department. Because it kind of gets a little chewy and it kind of drags around the middle due to the sort of a repetition of violence and vengeance that kind of makes everything feel a little messy in the middle half, in the middle section of the season, because this season, while Pablo Escobar is on the run for most of the season, or actually all of the season because he escaped his own prison at the end of Season 1, a group called Los Pepes is introduced, and they are sort of a cabal made up of Pablo Escobar's enemies from the underworld, and they've all sort of come together because, like the Colombian government and the DEA, they want to put a bullet in Pablo Escobar. So everyone's after Pablo, and the blood runs rampant in the streets like never before, and it kind of gets a little numbing. The crown jewel here, though, the gem, just like in Season 1, remains Wagner Moura's performance as Pablo Escobar. Perhaps this season over-romanticizes Pablo a little bit, considering all the people he murdered, but I can't really fault the show for taking advantage of its most interesting character and its best performer. Unfortunately, that means that whenever Pablo's not on the screen, the show kind of suffers a little bit. It's always been the case. Not always, but quite often, because really you're just drawn into Pablo and you get a deep dive into Pablo Escobar this season with his family and his henchmen, those that surround him. There's a character named Limon, who's new to this season, who arrives in the premiere, part of Escobar's crew, and he has a really interesting arc all the way through. The character of Agent Murphy, though, who was sort of our eyes and ears and our audience surrogate, who continues to do the narration on the show, Boyd Holbrook, the actor, he kind of gets really sidelined here and becomes a lot less interesting than he was in Season 1, and his whole family drama with the wife and the kids, it hardly even matters at all at this point. Pedro Pascal's Agent Pena manages not to feel sidelined as much because he has a really interesting arc with Los Pepes and that carries through all the way. But yeah, when Wagner Moura is not there, and when the show isn't sort of I guess, romanticizing Pablo Escobar, it's just not as interesting. And ultimately, I also think the rise to power is a little more effective than the fall from grace, which is what this season is all about. And that it's a long fall, so that's where the dragging quality comes in the middle of the season. But you could read my written review on IGN.com. I gave it a 7.4, and stay tuned to IGN for all news about Netflix original shows.